Boxing King Media. Delighted to be joined by DC Dave Coldwell here in Riyadh. I want him to put, he's refusing to put his Tom Fords on. The last time I spoke to you, funnily enough, was in Doncaster, from Doncaster to Riyadh, and the last word was you've lost your Tom Ford glasses, and you found them in Riyadh.
No, I didn't. I've had to buy them. They're not sunglasses, they're gigs, so I can't read. I can see, I just can't read up close without my glasses. 15 2 weeks, aren't I? How's it going?
Decent, nice shades, mate. Just seen the press conference, bit of a mad one. It was like, how shall I describe it? Subdued, but there was a bit of back and forth, as you'd expect. But how do you suspect the mood is from both guys? Like, is it confidence, or are they both kind of just too respectful?
I think they're both supremely confident athletes. I mean, why wouldn't they with what they've achieved in their careers? But the whole, going out to dinner and being close up and obviously civil conversations prior, I think that makes for a little bit of a weird dynamic, especially when you're this far out. Listen, when it comes to fight week, when they've not been around each other for a long time, then it's going to be different. This far out, plus with the two characters that they are, they seem to be fellas that if you poke and prod them, then they'll fire back. We've seen Canelo's humour, we've seen Crawford can give a bit of a shove and go at people, but usually they're not really the guys that start it, I don't think. So I don't think either of them is going to start anything like that.
Yeah, fair play. I think you've probably seen it how I've seen it there. And the size-wise, I was speaking to Vidal earlier. He kind of described it as Canelo's a bit thicker, but height-wise, So who does that? Like, what advantage would you want if your fighter was going thicker or taller?
Well, listen, it's down to styles, and I think the frame and the athleticism that Crawford's got matches for him up with something that's a little bit thick, squat, and perhaps a little bit shorter on the reach, and something that's a bit more heavy setter with the feet. So I would imagine that there's not really a lot in that, but you would be happy if you were Crawford.
Fair play. Just trying to think, should we continue this outside or should we do it here? Yeah. We're back outside in the lobby, going to continue that interview. I thought whilst we continue, let's get the baddest man, or I don't know, is it the baddest man, Gunman Boxing?
Gunman Boxing, the baddest boxing channel in the UK, after your channel, of course.
Well, we're not bad. We don't claim to be bad, but I just wanted to get you on just because I thought I've got Dave here for the serious opinions, but I think fans will appreciate some of your opinions in this as well. Dave, my next question was going to be, we obviously just asked about the fight and the sizes, etc. One of the points that they brought up in the event was street fight.
Yeah.
Who wins on the streets? I'm going to ask you both this because he's Gunman Boxing. I'm guessing you know a lot about the streets as well. Maybe you can give us a bit of an idea.
Well, I do know that Crawford has got a really, really rough sort of upbringing, and he's always been on the streets fighting. The guy got shot and things like that. I know he's got that wrestling background as well. I don't know about Canelo. Listen, I've been to Guadalajara, where Canelo's from. When we went there, Ryan Rose fought Canelo. So when we went there, as we're driving, literally through the place, there was a bar that the guy said to us, whatever you do, stick to your hotel. When it kicks off in there, they're throwing grenades. So I reckon Canelo's grown up pretty tough himself, but I think if it becomes a street fight, I might have to go with Crawford.
Go on, man, intro yourself. You come from the baddest boxing channel. Dave's just going with Crawford. You must know a lot about the streets. Is it the streets of Guadalajara or Omaha? Which one's going to be like rougher?
Yeah, listen, this is a boxing match at the end of the day. This is Queensbury boxing rules. You know what I mean? The referee will break you up. You know what I mean? The referee's going to break you up at a tangle. If it's a street fight, I'm going to go with Bud Crawford. I think he parks him up. I think what he does is he gets him down, stretches him out like a limousine, ground and pounds him. You know what I mean? Like front crawl on top of him type of look, and then finishes him. Finish him. Like in Mortal Kombat, where it's like finish him, and then he just like smashes him to smithereens, knocks the sonic rings out of him. I think Crawford is like Sonic the Hedgehog. He can just run through walls. That guy is a solid guy. I think if you've got to put all limbs in there, I'm going down with Crawford.
There you go.
It's interesting you both think that. I don't know. I think you're underestimating the streets of Guadalajara because, like, mate, they look scary. There's skin people on there.
I'm not underestimating at all. Yeah, but to skin people, you need a weapon. We're not talking about with weapons. We're talking about street fight.
Man was talking about grenades a minute ago.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about grenades, do you know what I mean? You know, all you're going to do is see limbs going to all different parts of the, the different hemispheres and stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Last thing you need is your elbows and your knees being in different postcodes. So that's not a good look. So if the grenades are in there, I'm going with Mexico. If it's just straight hands, fist fight, I think Crawford fists him up.
Fair comment. Dave, I've got to ask you. We've seen Turkey come out today and say he doesn't want no pussyfooting around. He's going to get smaller rings. Common sense tells you Crawford has to box him. You can't sit there and trade with him. That is the common sense approach to this. But if you was a trainer for Crawford, are you paranoid about this? Are you thinking shit?
No, you literally heard Crawford say it. He's not going to change his style for anybody. However, he doesn't run. He's not a runner. There's a difference between running like what Devin Haney did in New York, which is kind of sparked all this off, and what Scully did. And, there's a difference between running and not really trying to win, and maybe just trying to nick the odd shot in a round and pinch a fight, and boxing. Boxing's always been the art and the skills of boxing, hit, don't get hit, but almost staying in that pocket, changing an angle, popping your back off, just dropping out of range, going back in range. Go back to people like Sugar Ray Leonard. Forget about your Floyd Mayweathers. That's even more so. But Sugar Ray Leonard's, people like that, even your James Tonys, people who are boxers, use their feet, use their angles when they have to, but then also at standing range and also pop off at that mid distance or close up. So I don't think there's any danger of Crawford running, but he's going to box him. He's not going to go in there, meet in the centre of the ring, especially in the first 3-4 rounds. He's not going to stand there and allow Canelo to bludgeon him.
He's not going to trade.
So he's not. He's not. What's going to happen.
Yeah, he's not going to trade off. But like I second what you say, he's got to be in and out like an armed robbery. Do you know what I mean? He can't be just standing there in the phone box. You know what I mean? He just can't be doing that. But yeah, like you said, he's not a runner. He will pick his shots. He's a pick and fighter. He'll pick the combinations. He will have to move swifter than Taylor. He's going to have to get those legs working. He can't stand there, like I said, he can't stand there in close range just taking big bangs off of Canelo. He's going to have to choose his attacks wisely. And as I said, be, pendulum-like footwork, in and out. I think he gave us a little bit of a clue today when he said, I'm just going to come in and, pick his combinations, And I fully expect him to, to outscore Canelo, and that's how I'm seeing it going if Crawford's going to win, right?
I think what works for him as well is the fact that he can switch. I think perhaps he goes southpaw for the majority of the fight. We've seen Canelo struggle with southpaw movers before.
Yeah, movers,
And Canelo, Crawford's very, very good as a southpaw. And it also gives him good distance for, being able to see even clearer Canelo's power shots, especially seeing as how Canelo, likes to load up and really go at it. So I do think he'll come out southpaw.
I love the analogy you gave there, Gunman. He's going to be in and out like an armed robbery. So that's quite a really good... There's a bit funniness behind it, but it's quite a good analogy, that in and out like an armed robbery.
Yeah, listen, he actually said, I think his words was, I will touch him. I'll touch him, with volume. So he's going to be touching him, like touching in and out, like an Oyster card, you know what I mean, on the London Underground. Touch in, touch out, move. That's how he's going to win this fight. He's not going to win this fight going into the phone box like Clark Kent and never coming out again, like Superman. He's not going to do that. He has to touch in, touch out, pendulum-like footwork, score, jab and move, hide behind the jab, pop, 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 and then, you know what I mean, robs your father's brother.
Well, that is, again, perfect analogy. Last thing I want to ask you about fighters' loyalty. You could probably give us some good analogies here as well. We've seen Eddie Hearn the other day with this thing with Richard Hitchens, talking about fighters and loyalty. I've asked a lot of people about this. Who's right in this situation? He's done his 3-fight deal. Should he repay the loyalty to Eddie because Eddie's lost money on him? I think Gareth said to me earlier, Eddie's never losing money because he's got that $1 billion bank contract from the zone, so it's more like an investment, but he ain't got nothing back from it. So who do we sit with, Dave? You're a manager, trainer, you kind of in between that role. So yeah, you have. So who's right?
I see it from the promoter's point of view. Listen,
and you've been a fighter.
Yeah, but I see it as is at the end of his contract. There's nothing wrong with being at the end of your contract, and now you sit down and negotiate. And if Eddie's isn't the best deal, then that he can't grumble. If somebody else is going to give him a better deal, and it fits, not just promising the money, it's the right fights, it's the promotion, it's the build up. If he has a better deal elsewhere, then he's well within his rights to go because he's out of contract. I think the thing that really made people sit and go, oh, myself included, was how he's in his moment where, and I know what it feels. Listen, you've had somebody, you're working with somebody, you build up, and then they win that title. It's such a pure emotional relief. You're so happy. It's, you know, whether you're the trainer, whether you're the manager, you're a promoter, especially a promoter if he's invested like Eddie and brought him through, took him from nothing. It's very emotional, and you feel we've done it, and then for him to go straight on the mic and literally just announce to the world that, you know, he's in the shop window. That is a kick in the nuts to the guy that's helped you get there. You know, it's almost like it'd be the same if he turned around and said, "Oh, thanks to my coach, but I've been talking to so and so. My next fight, I'm going to be working with so and so." It's the time and the investment that the team have put in. They're all celebrating that moment. Whether you're the fighter for his own reasons, and obviously more so, but everybody that's played a part in that is celebrating as well. Even you have it even with sponsors that have been backing fighters and stuff like that. They're celebrating. They feel a part of it. Everybody feels a part of that success. To have it ripped away straight away by that comment and by saying that's what I thought was off. And there's nothing wrong with him going in at the end of the contract and going and saying, okay, I want to go and see it. But then what I would do is if or I would hope is that, like, go and listen to other offers, then come back and say to Eddie, listen, I've been offered this. It's a fucking good deal, mate. Can you match it? If you can match it, I'll stay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or if you can beat it. But then Eddie turns around and says, no, I can't. There you go. At least he's been given that option. That's how I think it's the public side of things, how we did it in that moment.
I absolutely second that. No one likes to see people leaving a Bosman free, you know what I mean? Like, it never sits well, you know what I mean? But actually, you want him in your contract, do you know what I mean? But when you want a Bosman free, people are like, oh man, he's disloyal, he's a snake, this is horrible, blah, blah, blah. But he's well within his rights.
Is that why I know you're a Liverpool fan, you mentioned Bosman, you're not said the same thing about
Trent.
Oh, that's him.
What, the guy that can't defend? That guy? Oh, yeah, that guy.
Oh, how times have changed.
The guy can't defend.
The analogy in that it's like a 3-night stand and then updating your relationship status to single and free again.
Yeah. Well, you can say that. Yeah, you can say that. But like, I think that, listen, no one likes it when you like decide to go free. Do you know what I mean? No one likes it. They feel just, look, I want to be free now, and I want to shop around. I want to have a look about. You know what I mean? No one likes that. And the person who's doing the shopping around, they're having a whale of a time. Do you know what I mean? They're having a party. But the people that were with them before are obviously going to feel a little bit bitter about it. You know what I mean? But I just want to say, Riyadh season, by the way, Riyadh season card. This event, Saudi, the buzz, the energy here has been red hot like the weather, man. I mean, I've been evaporating all day. You know what I mean? Dave's had to mop me up at times today. But I am here and I am enjoying myself, and the fight fans will enjoy this fight. Crawford versus Canelo. It's a real bad man show. Honestly, I just can't wait for it. I can't even pick a winner. I'm being on the fence like Humpty Dumpty, and I'm just falling off from time to time. I'm back on the fence again. I'm staying on the fence, Dave. I'm going to be like Ron Seal paint protector. I'm staying firmly on the fence, man. I do not know who's going to win this.
Shout out Gunman Boxing. If you see more of his craziness and his boxing talk, hit up the Gunman Boxing YouTube channel. Dave Coldwell, always a pleasure.